It's okay. We can both be nervous together. Hello, everyone. Welcome. I am here with Max.
That's right. My name is Max.
So how do you pronounce your handle name?
My handle name?
Yes.
What's that? What's the handle name?
Like Maxime, Maxime.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I just say Maxime. You know, it's like a French name, so don't worry about it.
So
Short for Max is chill.
I wasn't even close. All right, so tell us a little about yourself.
Well, you know, my name's Max. I'm a 20-year-old self-taught artist, creator of Akane and a few other comics. I live in the middle of nowhere on a farm. I'm a family man, and I very much enjoy to yap.
Do you regularly draw in your sketchbook?
Okay, not anymore, you know. I used to back in the day. You know, I had multiple sketchbooks for comics and such and for studying anatomy. But the moment I moved to digital, I kind of strayed away from doing things traditionally. And I guess my quote-unquote sketchbook would be on my computer instead. But even then, I don't really draw in it as much as I'd like to. I'd say it's like once a week, maybe.
Same.
Yeah.
So what is your favorite art piece?
Right now, it's kind of tied between like two illustrations. I can't pick. It's really hard. So like the first one would be like this illustration of Catherine. I did, I think it was like last month. It's supposed to be like a chapter cover, but I was just really happy with how I drew her anatomy, especially the hand and the way it was just rendered all together.
And main character, right?
That's right. That's right. I'll send you the pictures afterwards, right?
Yeah. And what is your least favorite art piece?
My least favorite art piece. So so I mean, it's easy to look back, you know, at old art and like, you know, pick anything from there. I think it'd be better if I just pick maybe something like that's recent, something I'm not happy with. And it was just like a panel in my latest chapter. It's a panel of Logan. Again, I'll send it to you. I just thought he looks cooked and kind of messed him up there. But anyways, yeah. That's about it.
What is your favorite animal?
Okay, so my favorite animal, right? It's my boy Finley, right? So my boy Finley, it's an axolotl, right?
Yeah.
I have it as my profile picture. Basically, it's just like I have a bunch of squishmallows. I don't know if you know what they are. They're like these
they're like
little plushies. They're diverse. Yeah. They're really squishy. They're funnily enough, I have this whole lore related to like my profile picture, because it's like basically in my room, right? The room where I draw and I work on my comics. It's filled with windows. Like you can't escape light. Like meaning when I draw on my tablet, like sometimes it gets so bright I can't even see what I'm drawing anymore. It's just like it's like my reflection.
Do you have to
and now I don't know. That's what I'm saying, right? If you don't know this, right? I don't know if you knew this, but axolotls are sensitive to light. So I kind of just viewed myself as an axolotl. Sometimes I'd love to just hide in a dark corner and just draw in peace. It's one of the reasons I gave Finley sunglasses.
That is
just
so
to help him
funny.
out. So yeah, that's the lore to my profile picture.
I love it. What got you started in making comics, like overall?
Yeah. Okay. I mean, you know, I've always been a nerd. Loved reading Marvel and DC comics. And then when I got to high school, it changed to like reading manga.
Of course.
But like, yeah, that's of course. But I think the real reason I started making comics was because it's like the phrase of what was it? It's like a show don't tell. I liked the idea of expressing emotion or even how I felt through a visual medium. Because it's not like in a movie, because how do I say this? Like in a comic, when you see a panel with quote unquote emotion or a panel where you just feel something altogether, you can just like stop and stare at it and feel it. You know, it's like your movie. You choose when you want to move on from that panel. So yeah, it's something like that. I thought it's beautiful, even though it sounds corny. But anyways.
No, I really like that. That's honestly, it's so genuine. I really like that.
All right, that's good then.
So for people who don't know, basically you and I met through TikTok because we were both competing in Webtoon's call to action contest. And so kind of that's like how we met. And at first it was like, oh, this is one of the competitors. And then it kind of turned into like, actually, no, they're pretty chill. So
I mean, that's the thing. I was like looking for other people that were participating in the contest, you know, so I could support them and like we could support each other. But it was hard to find. Everyone just, for some reason, they were like just against each other, you know?
Yeah, it was a little standoffish. And then some of the people I did meet, they ended up getting really overwhelmed by the workload. So I think out of like the 3 people I met, you're the only other person who also posted. And I was like, yes, let's go.
Wow.
So were you making comics before the Webtoon call to action contest?
Yep. Indeed, I was. You know, I was at the time I was fresh out of high school, with a big dream to make Akane a reality. But I didn't feel ready. So instead, I was working on a weekly comic called School Patrol.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's because like it's my username on a lot of like social media, and a lot of people question it. They're just like School Patrol. Weird name, but anyways. So wow, School Patrol, right? Oh boy, School Patrol. It's very messy, you know, but it holds a special place in my heart because, like, at the time, I was using School Patrol as a way to test myself, you know, to see if I could execute certain emotions and story beats properly. And like, thank God I tried it and failed with School Patrol because I learned a lot. It's always like that, but yeah. And like I said, I was fresh out of high school and I had ambition, but I also had insecurities. You know, a lot of them, and it's that idea that like you know, once out of high school, it's like, now what? Am I an adult? But like, I don't want to. I'm not ready. It's too scary.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, I just want to stay a kid forever. And you know. So basically, especially since every time I would speak to an adult, they'd always like talk about how life just keeps getting worse.
Yeah.
Like they would not reassure me. So it just
It's like, what's the point?
That's what I'm saying. So it just terrified me, right? So I use School Patrol as like my therapy, I guess, like as a way to write down my emotions and try to find an answer to it. And for me, I guess the answer was Akane. I love Akane. I'll go into more detail, you know, when I get to talking about it. But anyways, yeah, that's what's up.
That's honestly, that is so nice to hear, because I feel like a lot of artists feel the same way, and learning that other people also feel the same way is reassuring in its own unique sense, because it's like, oh, I'm not alone in my emotions.
Yep.
How did you find out about the call to action contest?
Okay, so this is kind of a lame answer, but while working on School Patrol, like sometime in April, I see Webtoon just like announcing the contest on like the front page, and I was like, ooh, what's that? And that's it.
Right. I think that was like the same for me, and then it was like, grand prize is all this money, and I was like, ooh.
That's what I'm saying. It was like 50,000. I was like, yo.
You're like, might as well. So I guess to kind of go along with that, what was your overall experience with the contest?
Okay, I mean, it was a mixed bag, right?
Yeah.
I like to say it was awful. It was really messy because, like, okay, I mean, first of all, the rules weren't exactly explained all that well. I find personally, I don't know, Webtoon has a tendency to be like very broad with certain things. Like, can I show blood? Yes, but not too much. Like, what does that even mean? Like, okay. But anyways, another thing was how it was like a one chapter contest, right? But you could still upload multiple chapters. So like, I think it was like a week later, they announced if you had like multiple chapters, they could only rate the first chapter, which is like understandable. It's just messy that they didn't like specify that beforehand, you know?
Yeah.
So, okay, it was my first time participating in a Webtoon contest, so I don't know, I probably just missed some things.
I mean, it's for me.
Yeah, I know. It's like our first time. So that's another thing that I thought was great about the contest. I did get to connect with a few other artists. Obviously, there was you. But there were other artists that I tried to get into contact with, and it's like somewhat started chatting and like DMs and like things like that, but they kind of just ghosted me like after not even like a few days. You were like the only one that like stuck.
It's because I also like yapping about my favorite things.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's great. But okay, so I might like start yapping like crazy right now.
Go
because
for it.
like there's so this is like the real reason I thought this whole experience was messy, right? So it's because of this stupid Webtoon file capacity size, whatever you want to call it. It's just like,
oh my gosh,
it's so small. It's so small.
it's so shit.
That's what I'm saying. I felt like I was going crazy because every time I would search it up, right, try to find a problem, nobody had this problem. It was like just me. I felt so like I felt alone. I didn't know what to do.
I think you actually tried to ask me what I did, and I was like, crap, man, I don't even know how to explain it because, like, essentially, and this is just what I've seen other people do, is they make a really long file, like as big as they possibly can make it, and then they cut it down into the 1280 by 800 pixels.
Yeah.
So
okay.
it doesn't get pixelated as much as drawing in a 1280 by 800, so it's slightly better, but no, it's garbage.
That's what I'm saying. It is really garbage because I use Clip Studio Paint to make my webtoons, and it has a feature built into it. Basically, it just like it cuts your pages specifically for Webtoon. It's great, you know, it helps.
Oh my gosh!
It still didn't help with like the 20 megabyte limit. My files were always too big. They were always exceeding it. So basically, when I uploaded my contest entry, I had to split it into 3 chapters. But you know, no, you know what I'm saying? Like they can't. They'd only be rating the first chapter, which is bad because the call to action contest was who can make the best fight scene, right?
Yeah.
It's just like fighting in general.
Yeah.
And the first chapter was like the setup. The first, like chapter 2 and 3, that's when the fighting happened. But like, that's not the one they would be rating.
Yeah.
So immediately I was panicking. I didn't know what to do, you know? I was cooked. I even found like a compressing site to compress my pages.
That's what I did.
But it still didn't work for some reason. I don't know, man. So I had to do the unthinkable. So at the time, right? It was about to be the month of August, and if I remember correctly, I think the contest ended by like the end of August or like
it was either like end of July or beginning of August.
Okay. Oh wow. You see, I got it wrong.
I don't
remember either. I just remember there was like a month left.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't rate my 3 chapters, so I had to surpass my limits. I deleted those 3 chapters and I just I restarted from scratch. I just made a completely new comic.
No.
So, oh my lord. Basically, wow, I had a month to do all this, right? And at the time when I had made my first entry, it took me like 2 to 3 months, and this one I had to do in a month. So it was like the hardest I had worked in my life, right? Like, keep in mind, you know, I live on a farm, meaning, you know, we have to do labor work, and yet this was like more draining.
I talked to my husband about it a lot, and I'm like, it's just mental energy, and the mental energy
It is. It is. It's really draining. I feel like tired very easily. I get tired very easily. But anyways, it's probably my fault for a lot of things, but you know, whatever. Guess what? This time, this chapter fit. You know, it was definitely my best looking and rendered work yet. But I did sacrifice good storytelling for it. What made this entry harder was because of like this high concept idea I had with this specific chapter for some reason, or this one shot, whatever you want to call it. I don't know what I was thinking at the time, right? Basically, okay, I had these 2 characters fighting, and they both have their own backstories and motivations, whatever. But the whole idea was that these 2 characters both lived their life off a quote. That quote being, be who you needed when you were younger. Now, even though they both followed that ideology, they both followed it differently.
Yeah.
One wanted to be the person he needed when he was younger for selfish reasons, while the other was for selfless reasons, wanting to become that person he needed, but for other people. So this is when the high concept idea comes in, right? I thought it was a cool idea, right? That basically you could read the chapter 2 ways, either by starting from the top and scrolling down, or starting from the bottom and scrolling up. Now, depending on where you started, you could get the specific person's ideology, and I thought it was a great idea. And like, sure it is, but like, it was too bad. Like, it was incredibly hard to execute.
Yeah.
And like, even then, I don't think I did a great job. It feels like mad confusing to read, especially the fight, because it has to work both ways, and like limited dialogue because it has to work. Yeah. So it was a mess, but and like, you know, I didn't win or whatever, but I'm glad I got to surpass my limits. minutes.
Yeah, I feel like it was, like, at the very least, a really nice learning experience.
100%.
I remember you were like, how do I do this? And I was like reading the messages and I was like, I don't even know what you're talking about. I'm like, my reading comprehension is not the best for this. I'm so sorry.
I forgot. I went to you to ask for like opinions.
I was like, I don't know, man. I mean, it's a really interesting concept, if I'm being completely honest. And I would love to see what you do with it, like, now that you have like time and like thought and like you have done it before. I think
I might retry it.
You should.
I might retry it.
I know you're still posting Akane today.
That's right.
And if I remember right, you don't have a weekly schedule, right?
No, I do not.
Okay, so with the schedule you have, how easy is it to follow posting? Is it still like a pretty work-heavy schedule?
It's a tricky answer because it's kind of a mix, right? How do I say this, right? It depends how life goes, you know?
Yeah.
Living on a farm, sometimes stuff can be unexpected and there's still work, family matters especially, so the schedule can be inconsistent. I do try to post monthly chapters, but like even now, like I haven't posted the most recent one. Like it's already been 2 months, so I'm not following up on it. And what doesn't help with like schedule and like posting things is that I'm still small, so I have to like also have to post on social media, you know?
Yeah.
So there's things like that don't help, but or else it's chill. I'm still happy with how things are going, you know. I don't try to like put too much work on my shoulders and like stress myself for nothing.
Yeah, because you just still want to enjoy doing what you love doing.
Yeah, that's right.
Do you have any advice on how other artists can manage weekly posting or just posting in general?
I do have, because I used to do, you know, a weekly comic with School Patrol.
Yeah.
So it's like, I do have some advice, and first would be buffers. Okay, you need them.
Yeah.
You need buffers.
Yes.
You like, don't do what I did. Don't underestimate buffers, man. They're like, they will save your life.
I always say you have to start out with like 3 chapters before you even start posting.
Yeah, you have to, bro. Like, you don't understand, they're crucial. And second piece of advice, like you have to know where to cut corners. Like if you really want to make a weekly series, you have to come to terms that it won't be your best work. And it's like, it's not supposed to, you know? You will have to rush and cut corners on certain parts, like either sacrificing line art, like I find most weekly series do, or less panels, more close up, less details, you know, etc.
Gotcha.
And I guess a secret third piece of advice. Me personally, I just like wouldn't recommend weekly. Like I find you'll always feel disappointed in your work. Like because making things weekly, especially comics, since it's a form of art, it takes time. It needs you at your best. So, you know, making something weekly just, I find, won't provide that to you. Unless, of course, you don't care about all that and you just want to grow your audience and like you need to, let's say you're like a Webtoon original. And if that's the case, like more power to you. Go ahead, man.
I really like your backgrounds. Do you?
Oh yeah.
How do you go about your backgrounds? Because I know that is something a lot of people tend to struggle with.
Okay, so that's the thing, right? There's a plot twist to the backgrounds. The plot twist is, right, they're 3D backgrounds. They're 3D rendered backgrounds. I don't actually like draw them. I find them on a site called Akane.
Sketchfab? Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, wait, Akane. I think you're right. But no, it's Akane 3D. That's right. But I do use Sketchfab sometimes. But Akane 3D or Akane whatever. You can find some backgrounds that are free, but the ones that I do use, I do end up paying for.
Yeah.
And I do end up paying for sets sometimes that just kind of give you like walls and like certain objects that I like to rebuild them. It's kind of like playing with Legos, I guess. But then it's like I'm the one who like goes over it and like I basically Photoshop it. And I add shading, I add like a bunch of rendering overlays just to make it look actual anime backgrounds.
Like in your art style, kind of.
That's right.
So how has your experience been with readers for, I guess, School Patrol and Akane?
So, okay, yeah, it's great, you know. especially now, I'm still a small creator, so I don't take my readers for granted. I love them.
Yeah.
Like any kind of comment is welcomed.
Yeah.
You can't take them for granted.
No, never, never, ever.
No, exactly. So it just feels great to know that, like, it's great to know someone read what I made. It feels a lot more like there's a sense of community because of how small it is. Mm-hmm. How do I say this? Like, I take screenshots of comments and I keep them on my computer. Sometimes I like to look back on that. I know, right? Okay.
That's so cute.
I can't forget them. So even sometimes comments are deleted. They're not. They're kept on my computer. But it's always super motivating,
Yeah. Oh my gosh. That's so adorable. Webtoon is actually like really full of positive readers, which is like a nice plus. Like, there's not so great things about Webtoon, but like you're honestly guaranteed to find an audience that does love what you do.
It really is. I like Webtoon for that specifically. But yeah, but that's the thing, like even just one person like supporting you and commenting, it feels great, It's awesome. It's awesome. That's the thing, like it's to the point where I know how it feels, so I tend to try to do it for other small creators, like keep them from giving up, since I know how they feel. So yeah, it's just mad motivating, just even one person.
Yeah, I love that. This is kind of not necessarily a loaded question, but a little bit of a loaded question. So would you continue to work for Webtoon in the future, whether it be they offer you an original deal or just you continue to keep posting there?
So, okay. I don't know what the future holds, whatever.
Yeah.
I'll probably keep uploading there because I find it's just like the best website so far, that I find like with like the interface and like the UI, everything is just great. But like if they were to offer me, let's say, to become like a Webtoon original, honestly, nah. I don't see Akane there. Like Webtoon feels a lot more biased, I find, for like other kinds of series, and like I find they just that's what I'm saying, right? And I find they just probably wouldn't be looking out for me and my baby. So that's about it. Like I know Akane's worth or whatever, and I just don't find it's like worth selling out for a company that I find just might not care for my series. So yeah, I guess that's my answer.
So, okay, kind of a random question. Webtoon just offered, I guess it's like a new feature where people can like tip the artist. Have you had any experience with that?
So far, no. I didn't even know you could do that.
I was literally on Webtoon and I was like looking at the comments and it was like, these are the top tippers. And I was like, what? And like sometimes it's like $15 and then other times it's like there was $500 and I'm like, oh wow, my gosh.
That's actually kind of cool and helpful. That's nice.
It's nice. I am curious because the reason I was wondering is like depending on certain Canvas comics, I do know you do get paid based on how many views you get a month, but I wasn't sure if they got rid of that in lieu of the tipping. So I was
that's right. I don't know, That's a good question.
Yeah, that's why I was like, might as well just ask, see if I can get any get any answers.
Yeah, sadly, no, I didn't even know it existed.
No, you're good. What has your experience been like with Webtoon overall? So like with the contest, School Patrol, Akane, like everything.
It's chill, somewhat. I still have, problems with the file upload capacity.
Oh my gosh, you're telling me.
But overall, I like Webtoon, Like I had said, it's user friendly, it's clean, it's not hard to understand, and what I like is that when people sub and comment, they're interested in your actual series. This isn't like to throw shade at other websites, but for example, there's Manga Plus Creators. Yeah, it's another website for uploading comics, or mostly manga. It's a lot more recent, so it has time to fix its issues. But my problem with it is when someone favorites or likes or comments on your series, you don't know if they actually want to support you. Reason being is because Manga Plus doesn't notify readers when a series they favorited uploads, so it just feels very odd. Like you'll get a bunch of views, but like for what? Like who cares about views if people won't come back to read it or comment or things like that.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I like Webtoon for that, honestly.
Honestly, that's fair. Do you feel your overall art career was helped by the call to action contest experience overall?
Honestly, yeah, I do.
Nice.
I do. First of all, it gave us like a time limit, right? We had to, I think it was 60 panels, right? If I remember correctly.
Oh man.
And
yeah,
I don't really remember, but I'm pretty sure. Anyways, I think it's because 60 panels is like the average Webtoon original chapter. Like that's the minimum they can, upload and stuff. So it's like, okay, it gave us like a 60 panels in one chapter, and then you have a time limit, and basically it gave us a little taste, I guess, of what it was like, and we got to interact with other artists. Like I got to meet you. Oh my god! Even though I met you through TikTok.
Yeah, I love.
I was
TikTok.
looking. I was looking for specific, like Webtoon call to action participants. So yeah.
For those of you who don't know, I got a message from Max one day, and you were like, I don't understand why my chapter got taken down.
I remember that.
There was only some child decapitation. And I remember I looked at it and I was like, what do you mean some child decapitation?
It's not that bad, I swear.
So basically, this question is, what has your experience with censorship been like for you?
So, okay, wow. So there was that part, right? But it had happened before that whole child decapitation chapter.
Oh my gosh.
But it was just because, like, whatever. I think it was just a bit too much cussing in, like, one chapter. And that's the thing. Well, too much cussing. It's just, like, I used, like, a word that's, like, okay... I can see why someone maybe and someone complained to Webtoon about it, and it was like, okay, so that I got like a warning or whatever, and the child decapitation as well. But it's because it sounds like Akane is so edgy and like whatever. It's not, I swear.
Deep.
That's what I'm saying. I swear it's not. But I guess that's about it. It's chill. It's like, it's understandable. I don't know.
Tell us about your project, Akane.
Okay, yay, I get to talk about my baby now.
Yes.
But I get to defend it, It's not super edgy, I swear. So, Akane, right? It's an exploration of myself and I guess my view on humanity as a whole, or life, I guess. It's about these invisible man-eating creatures who have been plaguing the world for 5 years, which are nicknamed stalkers. And the only ones who can see them are the Akane Knights, which are supposed protectors of humanity. It's it's your typical new gen shonen concept, but like execution is always the most important part when writing a story in general. I'm a big fan of human stories where we explore one's psychology and understanding of why they do things, their flaws and all, but also why I think it's a beautiful thing. As I had said with School Patrol, I tend to use comic making and my writing as some sort of therapy. So for Akane, I wanted to explore the idea of like self-worth and also take it a step further, but by exploring the way we've been taking our humanity for granted. But I'm sure you can relate too by like the idea of like putting a bit of like yourself into your work.
Oh, for sure.
If I remember correctly, you had
vinegar.
It was a salt and vinegar, right? Yeah. Right? But I thought it was great because we got to have, it was like, how do I say this? Like art and making comics is like a little window to the actual author's soul or whatever.
Yeah, I really agree with that.
As much as like you try to run away from it, every time you put pen to paper, you can't escape it. You put a bit of yourself in it.
Exactly.
And it's like, yeah, we all look, think, and act differently. So, it's, how do I say this? Like, that's the biggest reason I love art, and seeing other artists. It's something AI can't replicate. That being, individualism. Like, let's say, like, I draw Finley and I tell you to draw Finley, my profile picture. Yeah. We'll both draw it vastly different, It'll be an axolotl, but they won't look the same, Exactly. And it's like, how do I say, it's like even people who trace, I don't defend them, but even when they trace, it's never one-to-one to the original. Like you see their version, not the actual original artist's version. So like, it's things like that.
Yeah, just like the humanity of the art.
And it's like, if I could keep yapping about this whole idea, because I think it's just cool. We're so tied to our day-to-day lives, stressing over work, afraid of what the future might hold. old and whatever.
Yeah.
Because like I had said, I found like Akane was like my answer to School Patrol's question. So I find like that, you know, we take our freedom for granted, you know, that we forget we're human, and that I have the ability to tell as many people I love them. Since I grew up with parents who've told me they loved me like so many times, like it's to the point I've gotten like desensitized to it, that it's easy for me to tell other people those words. So, you know, that, and like to tell the people that actually need to hear it, since sometimes it's you know, it's hard to find self-worth. You can see like clear mistakes in yourself and in the way you act or think, but you feel like you can never actually change those things about you. Like it's hard to do so. You know, you want to change and get better, and you can acknowledge it, but it's still like super difficult, and like that just makes you feel worse. But like that's the thing, you know, we're human. I find that's what makes us human in the first place. The ability to even think that way about ourselves, you know?
Yeah.
Like we all live through hardships and life as a whole, that we take it for granted, that we can feel this way in the first place and think that way is a miracle, I find. And just that makes your life worth so much. How do I say this? Like I have the gift to think so many different ways about myself and others. And you can think awful things about yourself all you want, but the reason you feel that way in the first place is because the opposite feeling exists. You know, you can't have shadows without light. And, you know, so instead of running away from pain, you need to understand it's needed and that it's possible to change. So I wanted to use this story as a way to like show that. I find that it's a lot more inspiring to see someone at like the bottom, worst part of their life, get back up and try to change for the better.
Indomitable human spirit.
That's right. And so yeah, that's Akane, you know. I use Akane for healing, and I hope people who need it do too, you know. Don't take humanity for granted, and don't take your life for granted. You're worth more than you can ever imagine. Just some cute shit like that.
So what are you the most excited about for your work on Akane?
Finishing it. Yeah, I guess finishing it, or like maybe finish the first saga. It's just like it's a really long story.
Where would you say you're at right now?
Like, what do you mean, like where I'm at? Like
as far as like the first saga or like the first part of it.
Oh no, not even. I think I'm like the 5% in.
Ooh,
oh, it's so long. It's chill though. You know, it's a life project. That's the way I view it.
What led you to come up with the idea for Akane?
Okay, so you know, it's the usual. It's all over the place. There's not just like one thing. Sure, manga and comics, etc. But it's a lot harder to pinpoint. Reason being is because like I've always created stories in like the back of my mind. And when I first got heavily into manga and anime, I kind of cooked up Akane in the back of my mind. It just sort of slowly got created over time. I don't know if you've ever watched or read A Silent Voice. Do you know what that is?
Yeah, I have.
It's one of my favorite stories of all time. I just I came to touch my heart. It's a beautiful story.
It's really good.
It is, and that's the thing. So the feeling I felt from watching that movie is the feeling I've been chasing after, and is the feeling I used to build Akane. Not gonna lie. So I guess there's that.
Nice. Oh, I love it. I guess like in your life, what led you to start making comics out of all of the other art careers that are like, I guess like more common or more well known?
I mean, there's a few things, right? I mean, originally it's like I've always loved making comics and like, but they were more of like a side hobby, you know, like most for sure, you know. It's just when people would ask like, oh, what I wanted to do when I was an adult, and like that's when it kind of struck me. I was like, oh wait, I can make comics for a living, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh boy, if I knew it was like unreliable. But anyways, I think like another reason it was my English teacher from high school. He had this super long name, so we just for short we called him Mr. Papa. Anyways, right, Mr. Papa, he was a very nice man. I would say he's like a happy man. The thing is that the way he thought was a lot more cynical. He would always start off the year by just telling the class that life is suffering. So it's like, wow, great way to start the class. And I don't know, it was something where he would say that, you know, I wouldn't agree with it. And so every time I would write a story, it was always trying to be like the opposite, to prove that life wasn't just suffering.
Yeah.
And I guess, yeah, that's kind of what led me to also creating Akane and things like that. So yeah, he helped me also, he also helped me get into writing stories in general. I thought he was like super passionate about actually teaching the class, because there's a lot of teachers who just like want to get this over with. It's just their job.
Yeah.
But I find he would always take it like an extra step to try to make us like intrigued in the works of literature and stuff.
It's always the English teachers.
That's right.
Has it been fun working on your comic?
You know, it's a mixed bag, you know, yes and no.
I guess what's the fun and what's the not fun?
Yeah. I'm always happy finishing a chapter. I'm sure you feel that way too,
yes.
right? Like when you did the contest, oh, it's so good.
When you finish it and it's like, wow.
That's
okay,
right.
now what?
Oh my God. No, but when you finally finish a chapter, it's like that feeling, man. It's better than sex. No, I don't know. It's like but I do enjoy like storyboarding and all that stuff, but sometimes it can be very like daunting, especially since I overthink so much all the time, so that can make the process like a lot more tedious and stressful for like no reason. Especially sometimes I go back and just redraw panels I'm not happy with, so that's annoying.
Like finished panels you redraw?
Yeah, sometimes there's like chapter 1 of Akane, I went back and like redrew some panels, and then I keep doing that. I gotta stop, I gotta move on. But like, you know, pacing issues is also annoying. Just sometimes there's also like these days where like I'm out of it, I just can't draw, and so like just infuriates me. Yeah, and one thing that doesn't help is that like sometimes when I like drawing, I start to feel like insecure. Like it's like, oh, look at me, you know, I'm sitting down, I'm drawing like for a whole day or whatever, like am I wasting time, am I a disappointment? But you know, of course I do this for me, but it does feel discouraging when people bring up like, oh, you make comics, how's that going for you, you know, like let's say like a belittling way.
I always don't like when they go, how's the little comic going, and I'm like,
that's what I'm saying, like come on, bro. But it's always the people who never even read it, like get out of here. Anyways, you know, it doesn't affect me as much anymore, because overall I'll always be happy with the work and effort I put in. And, I don't need someone else to tell me how much they think me and my work is worth. So yeah, working on Akane has 100% been a fun project to work on.
That's at least good to hear. So what would your goals, I guess, with Akane or as an artist be for you, like overall?
So I guess,
it's another loaded question.
Just chill. Like, I guess I want to be, you know, just as good as an artist as like what's his name? It's a Yukinobu Tatsu. It's like the creator of Dan Da Dan. It's a manga I really like. But wow, he's like such a great artist. But I don't know. Or like by the time I'm in my 30s, I want to be known as one of the best comic manhwa webtoon artists or whatever. We'll see though. Sometimes I say ambitious stuff, but like it's not actually like what my heart desires, or you know. I think just finishing Akane is what I keep focusing on instead. So
you're 5% of the way there.
That's right.
There's not that much left.
No. Do
you have more stories that you want to create in the future?
All right, good question. Look at you, Maddie, pro interviewer right now. Kinda. You know, so far I've only been talking about Akane, you know. It's just because like that's kind of what is on my mind all the time, and like Akane, I'm not gonna lie, it's probably gonna exceed like the 500 chapter mark if I'm being honest.
Oh my gosh, not for Olympus.
But my story's all planned, that's the thing, like I gotta chill, bro. But unless I manage to make like chapters like longer, it's like, you know, I might cut on time and things like that. But anyways, every time I do come up with like a new concept for a story or idea, it kind of just ends up being thrown into Akane, and that's probably the reason it's so long, because it's like you can't just throw an idea and not expand upon it. So then it's like and I kind of do that with Akane like a lot. There's a lot of freedom with the idea, so a lot of the stories I want to create can easily just be put into that story. But after I finish Akane though, I might go back to just remake School Patrol and finish it. And I might tackle another project afterwards. I don't know. But it probably just won't be as grand as Akane, you know?
Whatever your heart desires.
That's what I'm saying, you know? Who knows what the future holds, though?
So what inspired you to start storytelling? Was it the English teacher, Mr. Papa, or was it anything like beforehand?
I don't know. I guess it's everything. Like everything I've been talking about to this point is what inspired me to storytell, you know? You know, things are like, I loved reading it. I loved watching movies, you know, things like that. I'm always hyper analyzing things.
Yes.
Especially people. I don't know why. Like maybe I'm creepy for it, but sometimes like I just sit and just stare and watch people, like the way they talk or the way they walk,
People
the way they
are
hold
so
themselves.
Cool, though. I like
That's
to
what
learn
I'm saying.
about them.
So then it's like, okay, you know, storytelling would be like an outlet for, of course, my emotions, but just the world around me in general. Especially Kane, especially School Patrol. Every story I find I touch, I just slap whatever's going on in my life and just put it in there.
Your stories seem to be like really based on things, I guess not you're going through, but things that are inspiring you at the time.
That's right. At the time and the way I feel, especially the way I feel. And yeah.
It's so nice to hear. It's so nice to learn about other artists and that like other artists aren't so different from like you or me kind of thing, and it's so nice. It's so nice.
I'm saying it's beautiful, man. I love it.
So this might be, and you don't have to answer it if you don't want to. I know some people are like,
it's okay, go ahead.
They're annoyed about answering questions about money, but
I knew it. I knew that was coming up.
No. Do you make enough to live as a solo? So if not, what other jobs do you do on the side?
So yeah, I have like another job. It's I don't know how you say it in English, but basically it's just like it's extinguishers. I fix and clean extinguishers. It's a nice job.
You're
it pays
an extinguisher mechanic.
That's right, basically.
Like a fire extinguisher?
Yeah, fire extinguishers.
I didn't even know that was a real thing.
That's what I'm saying. A lot of people don't. They're like, oh, now that you mention it, that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, I just thought you just go out and buy another one.
That's the thing, though. They have to, especially because like they have like an expiration date, kinda.
They do?
After a few years, like the powder inside the extinguisher gets like hardened and it needs to be changed. So that's what I do.
Well, I guess if like you use it, you'd have to refill it up again.
That too. That's right. Things like that. A lot of my ideas with the cane happen when I'm doing my extinguisher stuff. I'm like in my thoughts all the time.
That's
so yeah.
Nice. So you do like fire extinguishers. So you fix the fire extinguishers, and you said you like live on a farm. Do you also do like manual labor there?
That's right. Of course, whenever my dad needs some help, because we have cows.
Yeah.
It's somewhat chill, but the ones that are like mostly focused on like the farm are my dad and my younger sister. But of course, they need my help. I'm always there to help. Especially because recently we're thinking of opening up like a little shop that like sell like candy, you know, drinks, and of course like our cow meat.
That'd be so cool.
That's what I'm saying. Sounds exciting. So I'm not gonna lie, I'll probably like stop working on extinguishers and go there.
Okay, you mentioned that you are a self-taught artist. Do you have any tips on how you can streamline your progress, I guess, or just how you go about learning necessary things and tools for what you want to do?
It's such a mess. I don't even know what I do to help myself. I guess things would be like being consistent every day. You know, draw at least once a day, even if it's for small periods of time. Do it. Don't compare yourself to other artists you see online, even though I do it all the time. Don't do it, but
it's always those 14-year-old artists that are like creating masterpieces.
That's right, all the time. Like, come on, man. But or else, that's about it, to be honest. I'm still trying to figure that out too. So
that's fair. That's fair. No, because I'm also a self-taught artist, so I'm like, I'm curious about what you do.
It's a mess, to be honest.
Do you have any tips on how to improve art?
One tip I do like it basically it's like the idea of like don't polish a turd. I kind of just like quickly move on from like my drawings, especially when you're trying to learn. You don't need to spend too much time on a drawing. Especially there were like these practices I used to do where I would give myself like a short timer to draw something. Once the timer was out, I move on. Especially with like the way I render and color things, I don't take as much time. It's very simple. It's like flat, gradient, and shading and things like that because I gotta move on. I don't have time to put hyper detail detail. I'm always improving. So there's no time to stay stagnant, you know? Just move on. You'll always get better.
What would you say you struggle the most with drawing your comics?
Okay, yeah, what do I struggle most with drawing comics? I guess maybe consistency with like character designs.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
It's because like when you're coming up with character designs, you'll like put these certain details in your characters. It's like you don't think about it at the time, but then when you have to redraw that character 120 times, it's like,
simplify this.
That's what I'm saying. Or like, I have to redraw this character's necklace. I have to redraw this character's socks. Like, so I think there's a lack of consistency. Also, sometimes, especially like there's like some recent chapters in Akane where I kind of just stopped looking at my character sheets for like a specific character. So like just the more you read the chapters, the more the character kind of just changes a bit. Like his design isn't the same or whatever. I gotta fix that up. But anyways, it's not that big of a deal. Like you can't really realize it unless you're hyper focused on it.
Yeah.
And another thing I guess would be being clear. I tend to over color or over render. Especially with backgrounds, you need to like separate the both of the foreground and the background. Sometimes I had realized like it's hard to tell what is going on in some of my panels because of how much stuff is just put into a panel. So you got to be clear when you're making comics.
Do you have any experience with burnout? And if so, how have you handled that?
All right. That's a good question too, eh? So yeah, oh boy. There was a time in 2023. I think it was like in April. So I didn't know it was burnout at the time. I just felt like crap, you know, like the idea of picking up my pen and drawing made me feel like really sick. I couldn't bear to look at my art either. I thought it looked horrible. Like who the hell drew this piece of garbage? Yeah. But I would still force myself to draw and work on a chapter because then I would start feeling guilty. I'd belittle myself, call myself lazy and like for not being able to even draw a single panel. And like that's the thing. I learned this recently and it's like it's okay to feel this way, you know. Forcing yourself and feeling guilty will just like make things worse. Sometimes you just need a break and you just gotta go and experience different things, you know. You can't just stay in and do one thing. It'll drive you mad, you know. Slowly but surely, you know, your passion will come back if you truly love what you do. If that's truly what your soul desires, then you'll be able to get over that burnout phase and get straight back into working on your project like nothing changed. So
do you have you ever had like any like carpal tunnel that you'd have to deal with, or like any like wrist pain?
I'm still young, so the wrist things no, but
you gotta
see, I said I'm still young.
Some wrist stretches. I'm only like 4 years older than you, and I'm like, oh, my
That's what I'm saying. It's bad. Like I'm still young, but I do have like chest pain sometimes because like I kind of like draw in a weird hermit position or like
like L from Death Note.
Yes, that's how I do. So then I get chest pains, and it's like the way to relieve that pain, I do push-ups. But it's bad.
What drives you to create?
You know, I know it'll pay off. Especially since I have this weird, I don't know if it's weird, but like I'm hoping doing what I do ends up like saving someone's life. Is that weird? I don't know.
No, like at the very least inspiring someone.
That's right.
To do.
That's right. That's about it. That's my answer.
To kind of go along with like the working and things like that, are you overall happier to work on your art versus working on a fire extinguisher or doing a 9 to 5 type of job?
100%, bro. You know, I find obviously like having something that you're passionate about that you can work towards and have something to look forward to will always make you happy. Even when you have like a bad day, being able to get some work in on something you like and then being happy with it like can completely change your mood on like the previously like shitty day. So it's great. I think it's great.
What do you recommend other artists try if they also want to make comics but are maybe too nervous or they feel like they're not good enough or like anything of that sort? Like what is your biggest advice for people who want to do what you're doing as well?
I mean, first of all, you know, read a lot of other comics, but also like you have to study that read, you know, like make sure you try to understand why and how on everything. Like why is the speech bubble there and how'd they do that? Why are the panels placed like this and how'd they do it? why does the character look like this, and why, it's just like you can go on forever, and it's fun studying the artists you like. And another thing that would be like I think is great advice, get into contact with like another artist or artists, specifically one artist that you can like trust and become like great friends with. I don't know if I can plug in another person, but
I have a section down that are like artists that inspire you.
It's just because like for me it's someone I met on TikTok, but he mostly stays on Twitter. His name is it's Maxi H Princeps on Twitter. No, he's been such a crucial help like in making Akane specifically. Like you need someone to genuinely like care like for what you're making, and he's always been super honest with his thoughts and feelings about Akane, and he has his own series too, so we both help each other out. Even though I'd say he helps me out the most, since he's like just a better artist. Okay, I will stop glazing him so much, but you need someone to like understand your series and then tell you if what you're doing or if your new idea is dumb, and you need to rethink, because you need a different pair of eyes on your work, like a new opinion, etc. Or else you'll never improve and you'll just be stuck in an echo chamber.
I would say it's also important to find someone who's not just going to be a yes man and just say, that's right, great, everything's great, don't change anything.
Exactly. And like the funny thing is that Maxi, right? I view him as my editor. It's just like you can meet so many different artists from all over the world. This man lives in Norway. He's so far away from me. But like, look at it. She just got connected like that.
That's so awesome. So,
I know, right?
do you have any, to kind of add on to that, do you have any advice for people who are too nervous to even try?
Come on. You just got to do it, bro. You just got to do it. Because like, I know this might be corny, but it's just the idea of like, oh, imagine you die tomorrow. I know, like, okay, we're going a bit morbid right now, but imagine, you were to die tomorrow. It's like, wow, I didn't attempt to do what I wanted. I was too scared.
Exactly.
You just got to do it. Even if it's not your best work or you're not happy with it, like, you'll be happy you tried it in the first place. So you just got to do it. Just do it. Like, and obviously, I think that a lot of like new artists or who want to post their comics, one thing that makes them nervous would probably be like readers' reaction, and what people will think. A lot of them are scared maybe of hate and things like that. And just don't. You'll see, like, you'll be pleasantly surprised most of the time. You get really good feedback, especially from other artists. So like, hey, what I'm saying? If they need help, just hit me up on Instagram. I got you, bro. Just DM me.
What are your like personal pros and cons of comic book writing?
I guess the pros, it's like, okay, you get to express yourself. You know what I'm saying? It's a part of you. Art and especially writing and all that stuff and making comics, it's a part of you. You get to surpass your limits. It's great. You also have creative freedom, especially now. Well, it's now, when you start off, you're not under like an editor's like grip or like a company or like something like that controlling what you have to say, what you have to do. So, you have creative freedom. It's great. You get to do what you love. You get to just, put your thoughts on pages or on a tablet and whatever you draw on. And for cons, right? Okay. For cons, too many ideas, right? I suffer from that. I have too many ideas. They can bloat your story, and that ends up being like a double-edged sword, because it's like, oh, great, more ideas, but also they could like ruin certain things, especially like with consistency in your world, or maybe themes of your story. Let's say you're trying to tell a certain message, and then bringing up a new idea kind of like contradicts it, so then you have to work into it and things like that. Another thing, you can have like the greatest idea ever, the most original thing ever. It's the greatest idea. But a terrible execution can just ruin that. You have to know how to execute, and it's just like, it's very stressful. It's very difficult, but you could do it.
How would you manage a work-life balance?
Basically, what I do is I kind of just like try to at least do one page a day, like a Webtoon page. I can show you how they look like after. So I just like chugged water and I feel like a burp's coming.
You're good.
Gotta stop myself. It would be unprofessional for me to do so. But yeah, you have to find these little things where it's like, okay, I try to at least, let's say, get an hour in at least once a day or whatever. Of course, if you can't, you can't. It's things like that. But just so it helps with not feeling overwhelmed. You know, I don't look at all my pages and be like, oh crap, I have to do this in a month. It's just like, okay, focus on this page today. Boom. Then focus on the next page tomorrow. It's just things like that.
Gotcha. So basically just focusing on what you can control at that moment of time.
That's right.
Nice.
That is correct.
Do you think art has made you a better person?
Yeah, I do think it has. Maybe it's like how do I say this? Like it's helped me appreciate myself and the work I put into myself a lot more. Especially because like for like the longest time I had been struggling with like, you know, like self-worth. I always thought of myself as a bit inferior to other people in general. So I find that like working hard on art, and especially like something I love, and not giving up, especially when things like get hard, helped me just realize like, wow, look at me go. I'm so proud of you.
Yes.
So yeah, there's definitely that. I'm trying to think if there's and I guess it's made me more patient too. It's made me a bit more of a more patient person. Problem solving as well. You know, like during the Webtoon contest, I had the 3-chapter problem. So it's like, oh, well, now I gotta just like restart, and it's like, yeah, I didn't let it discourage me.
Nice.
So yeah, I guess it has.
That's good. What media inspires you as an artist? So like people, places, things, like anything.
Yeah. Obviously there's my family, right? My family. I'm very close. I'm a family man, like I had said. I'm very
I just
close
thought you
to
meant
my...
you had like kids or something.
No. No, I'm not getting that until like way later. But no, I'm very close to like my older sister, my mom, especially my mom. Like I be watching anime with my mom, you know. You can call me a mama's boy. I had also said I tend to observe people. So a lot of like relationships in my comic are based off people I know and people I appreciate. Especially like my older sister, she has her fiance, and they have a child. That's my nephew, basically, right? I love that little guy. Anyways, their relationship, my older sister and her fiance, I thought it was a very cute relationship. So sometimes I just tend to be a bit weird, I guess, whatever. I just take down notes. And then I just put it into my work.
That's so
yeah,
cool.
that's yeah. I forgot what the question was, to be honest.
No, you're good.
What media inspires you? Yeah, family man. But I guess also video games. Specifically, I guess like things like MMOs and RPGs. I find that those games tend to have, they give a lot of freedom to the player. Every time like you start an MMO or like an RPG, there's always like a big event that had happened before the game starts, like lore wise. And it's like, you don't have to find out what happened, but like you can find them in like audio logs or like hidden things. And I thought it was super neat, and I think I ended up accidentally putting that into my own work. So yeah.
Are there any artists that inspire you personally?
First of all, gotta get him out of the way. There's Maxime, the guy in Norway, very inspiring person. For professional work, I would have to say there's Tatsuki Fujimoto, which is the creator of Chainsaw Man. I don't know if you've read one of his one shots, which is Look Back. It honestly, that one shot also just came to reach me. It's just like the way Tatsuki Fujimoto like views making manga is like so similar to the way I do it too, that it's just like, it was inspiring. It was like, wow, you know, it's always inspiring to see like a professional mangaka or whatever have like the same thoughts that you have. Yeah.
What is your ultimate goal as an artist?
Finishing Akane. Yeah, honestly, that's it. That's a lame ass answer, but yeah.
No, I love it. Honestly, like finishing a comic is hard.
Yeah, finishing it. Yeah, that's right.
What would success mean to you as an artist?
But yeah, honestly, I think like success is like being proud of yourself and your work. Especially like when I finish a chapter, I tend to not always be satisfied with it. But then it's like the more chapters I make, and then I go back and let's say I binge read everything I have, it's like, wow, I'm so proud of myself. This is great. And I view that as success. That's a great feeling. It's like I set out to accomplish something and I accomplished it, you know? So that's what's up.
I love that. All right. So I'm sure everyone wants to know, how can like any of us support you, like social media, Patreon, like future plans, like everything. Tell us everything.
I mean, obviously, go read Akane on Webtoon. It'd be great. It'd be great. It's free to read.
Comment. You'll copy.
That's how I leave a comment. That's right. I'll screenshot it. It's on my computer forever. So that would be the first thing. And honestly, yeah, like Instagram. On Instagram, it's like Akane_comic. And on TikTok, it's just school_patrol. And honestly, that's about it. I mean, I have a Patreon. I think it's $1 a month or whatever. But totally understandable if you don't want to, go on Patreon, because I don't upload there.
Max,
the main thing is definitely
no. Just tell us.
What?
Stop being like, oh no. Just what is it, please?
You want to know the answer?
Yes.
I actually don't know what my Patreon is called. I gotta find it. Oh my gosh,
I'll find it. I'll link it for you.
Thank you, Maddie. I appreciate that.
All right. Thank you so much for coming and joining us.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Of course. All right. And I will see everyone in the next one. Yeah, go check out Akane. Thank you so much to my patrons Izuma and George Regal. If you guys want a special shout out at the end of each of my videos, as well as early access to content, you can subscribe to my Patreon, which is only $2 a month.